Could you tell me how does it work for you for Freeze online?
Yeah, it was excellent. We had a really successful online fair substitute. Um, yeah, it was great. I mean, we were showing one artist.
You are
We're in
still
the section.
showing. It's not finished.
It's still going. Yeah, we sold everything in the booth already.
But it's not written.
You mean in terms of the sold on the website?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we decided to not mark the works as sold just because that can deter people inquiring. That has been some people's experience.
In fact, you can't see me, right? Voila.
That's better. Hi. Yeah, so we decided to not click sold on those works just because it can deter people from making an inquiry. So if they inquire about the work, then that starts the conversation, and that's really the great benefit of an art fair, is having that conversation.
Ah, nice. So, but you are sold out, right?
We're sold out, yeah.
And the price were from what to what?
So most of the paintings are $6,000. There's a larger one that's $8,200.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of smaller paintings. One that was 1,800, and then another that was 3,000. So not so expensive.
Not at all. But you are showing this artist for a long time.
Johnny Negron, yeah, we I mean, we've done one solo show with him. We did our first solo show in 2018.
And he's from Puerto Rico, right?
He was born in Puerto Rico, and he grew up in New York and he lived in Texas for a while. He's living in LA now. So I could see the works when they were finished. I went to his studio. And socially distanced studio visit. Yeah, exactly.
So why do you think it was so successful?
I think we did well with this presentation because there were a few factors. I mean, it's an accessible price point, and from what I can hear from colleagues at the moment, that's really the area of the market that hasn't been so adversely affected.
So around 6,000. Sorry, what is
under 10? Around and under 10.
Okay.
And he's an artist we did a solo presentation with a couple of years ago. The show did well. It was all works on paper. This is the first time that he's shown work that has been painting on linen. And I mean, there's something inherent to the work itself in that it does translate well via images. It's painting that is very saturated and quite lush. It's not work that is heavily disadvantaged by only seeing it via images. It does have a kind of effective translation. So I do think that's part of it. And I think Johnny really, with this presentation, he really progressed. The work kind of came into a very rich, convincing place. So I was initially quite disappointed that people wouldn't see these works all together in a space and kind of feel the resonances between them. But I'm very happy for the artists that the fair didn't kind of it wasn't just a whimper, it was a substitute for the real thing, and an online viewing room will always be a substitute, but it was an effective one. So.
And what does he speak about?
I'm sorry?
What does he speak about?
What does Johnny speak about, the works? So so Johnny's work, like he's self-taught, and he kind of comes from a background of essentially like comics and making books, and then has also always maintained a kind of practice where he's making discrete drawings. And that's sort of how I found the work. But really, the works are quite heavy with kind of formal resonances of art historical, kind of either Byzantine painting or medieval painting or Renaissance painting, but those kind of formal references filtered through his sort of social encounters or glimpses that he captures, or sort of memories of these kind of transactional moments during nightlife, and these quite like intimate exchanges that happen within a certain social framework. So the very large piece, the largest piece in our presentation was kind of like a cluster of people at a rave carrying someone out who had clearly collapsed. And this was both a memory that Johnny had had. In fact, he was on the outskirts of Paris in an underground club, and he'd seen this person being carried out by this procession of other people at the party, and he immediately kind of recognized in that moment that it had these formal resonances of these depictions of Jesus being carried to the tomb. And so he like has this ability to kind of embed these references that might seem kind of quite dissonant from the experience he's having, but he's able to kind of blend these things together. And it's not, the reference doesn't necessarily have to be so obvious, but it's in some of our kind of minds and imaginations, we have all of these images buried and these kind of impressions, and he's able to kind of subtly tease them out. So,
and how is it going now in LA? The mood?
Yeah, I mean, I think that not much has materially changed in terms of the lockdown. The mood in LA particularly has really been helped by this endeavor that has been kind of quickly assembled over the last 6 weeks. Myself and other committee members have founded the Gallery Association of Los Angeles, and Los Angeles didn't have a gallery association prior to this. And we're building out a platform which essentially is a kind of a sales engine, but it will sort of roll out over these 6-week cycles, and each gallery, 10 galleries each week, to show works. And there's a heavy editorial component to it too. So inviting curators to kind of curate these online exhibitions. And also there's a sort of historical component to it where we're kind of sharing more accounts of this quite, extensive and interesting history of Los Angeles galleries. So
that's interesting.